Gentlemen, this video has nothing to do with penis enlargement and is all about me and my projects coming up. So, just letting you guys know that from the start. I mainly just wanted to try out my new camera and tweak with it if I had to for future videos. But first, let's go over some business announcements that a lot of you guys may be interested in. First, the All Things Male podcast. So, me, Doc Hank, my business partner, and my colleague in this, Perv McSwerve, have decided to finally make a podcast. We are basically going to make a subreddit, which already exists, r/All Things Male Pod, where you can submit topic suggestions for us to discuss on a live stream. So basically we'll take whatever the top comments are for the month, discuss them, and then live stream and then make it into a podcast format for your enjoyment. The problem is that we're all very busy individuals, and finding the time for all of us to sit down and talk for an hour or two might be a little difficult. We'll work it out. But if you're interested in that, check out r/All Things Male Pod, subscribe there so you can upvote submissions and add your own submissions, and then All Things Male on YouTube for the live stream, and then I will have more information where you can subscribe to the actual podcast once I learn how to make a podcast. Shouldn't be too difficult. Everyone has one these days. Anyway, quick update on my book. We put a update out which had 80% of the pictures that are supposed to go in the book. We're just waiting on a few of the graphs and then 1 or 2 exercises to complete the book. Complete as in version 1.1. This is a living document, so anytime I have a change in thought process for length, it will be added to the book, free of cost. You get the update for free. Red, I'd just like to thank you for working so diligently on this. If you guys are interested in his work, ask him on Reddit. The user is redmaroon97. I should probably help him set up an LLC and an actual design studio, but baby steps. Anyway, more coaching and course stuff, I guess. So, you might know that we have the forum gettingbigger.io. I had the kid, I guess he's not really a kid anymore. I had one of my clients who is a whiz with computers, better than me, set up a course site, and eventually we're going to move coaching to it too. It is nowhere near ready, as in I need to add probably 100 hours worth of content. That's an over-exaggeration. I don't know how much content's going to be on this stuff, but essentially it's going to be a subscription-based service where you can cancel anytime, pick it up at any time, or you get my entire up-to-date catalog on penis enlargement. We don't know exactly when it's going to launch, and hopefully we have Hank do some stuff on injury treatment and prevention, since that is where I struggle. I never got injured, so I never really think about it. But Hank, that's kind of his thing, at least on the Reddit. When he really first started on the Reddit, he was mainly focused on erection quality, hard flaccid, and injury prevention. So I don't know of a better individual to address injury prevention, so he will be guest starring on my course for that unit. Anyway, I will have more information when we are closer to launch, but right now is a long ways off. And I should have mentioned this at the beginning of the video, but so I don't kill this channel in the algorithm with talking about business and personal stuff, I'm going to be kicking around the idea of starting a vlog channel. So that way I can talk about whatever I want without hurting this channel. I know most of you are not interested in my own mental well-being, rightfully so, but I know some of you are interested in the business aspects and my mental well-being for whatever reason. Say 10% of you, that would be 1,000 sub channel right off the bat. So let me know in the comments here if I should make a vlog channel or just keep doing it here. It doesn't really matter to me. I'm going to make the video regardless. Alright, enough of the business stuff. So on to some personal stuff. Identifying burnout. I'll give you the gist because I spent 5 minutes in the first take talking about this. But I quit my job back in April because it was getting too much to do both. Run 2 businesses and work full time. And we'll talk about the Sigma grind set here in a bit, and I'll think it's kind of stupid. But because I was unable to do both of my duties at work, I would continuously get burnt out to the point where it was like becoming almost like a state of mild psychosis for me. Let's just say the last 2 weeks of March into mid-April were very hellish for me. And I'm in a much better state now, but I do not want to be in that state again, because that's when I made the most mistakes, business-wise, taking care of clients, and then it put some undue strain on my relationship because I was unable to be, for one, a good husband, and two, provide or do the duties I needed to with my clients. And this brings me to the point is that I am trying to figure out what patterns lead to burnout fastest for me and what are the first symptoms of burnout for me. So it's going to sound kind of stupid, but the first thing I notice is my road rage comes back. And that's kind of a sign of the short fuse coming in due to stress or just burnout. You lose your compassion when you become burnt out. And when you're in a position like myself where you're dealing with a lot of people's insecurities, having no compassion makes it kind of hard to stay motivated. So that's one of the first things is identification. Then how do I treat this? If you check out the guy that I've been listening to for the past month or two, Healthy Gamer GG, otherwise known as Dr. K, he did a lecture essentially on burnout and how a lot of the times it's not even the amount of work that you're doing that's the issue. It's the obstacles in work that are the issue, and how sometimes, let's say the company you're working for does not align with your own personal values. So these conflicts of interest and just conflicts at work, whether it be obstacles in the way or with employees, coworkers, is what actually leads to the burnout and not necessarily the workload. Because if you enjoy what you do, it makes life much easier when it comes to handling this much work. I didn't particularly enjoy what I was doing at my former employer, so that was the first shot. Second of all, my role at the other work was just filled with obstacles. So the gist is I was in charge of upgrading 65 web services from Java 1.6 to Java 1.8, which then would have to be upgraded again in the future very shortly. That is 15 years of changes in paradigm. I was not taught 15-year-old coding practices. My life was hell during this, and I barely made it anywhere, handling 65 projects on my own, on top of other responsibilities at work. So since I was never seeing progress with the 40 plus hours I was doing at work, it was not really 40 hours because, but it just became such a drag that it just zapped my motivation to work. So I've noticed a few more obstacles come up lately with Peak Male Physique and Leviathan. They're minor obstacles. A lot of them are self-inflicted. So if I just get a better handle on the little things that cause these obstacles, I would not have to worry about it. So for example, I've ordered the wrong size boxes. Very minor mistake, but it set me back 3 or 4 days on getting fulfillments out. Source of burnout, because that task kind of eats up some system memory in your brain, if you will. And if you have a bunch of loose threads hanging around, it makes it difficult to focus. It's like an actual researched thing. So one, I need to get better at finishing things and just to get them done. So what I've been doing is, like, for example, my consultations that I'm always behind on, is that I'll literally set up a week just for consultations. And then I'll do as many as I can before my voice gives out. And that's how I'm getting caught up on that, because it just makes more sense to block them all out than try to change my schedule around to match the needs of 40x people, right? I can change my week to get all that shit done. But for orders and all that jazz, that's more of like one of those daily tasks I need to do, but it's just one of those things I struggle with, because either I'm waiting for boxes or I'm waiting for stuff to make lotion, or I just need to make lotion. And since I don't have like a set schedule, and I know one of the comments already said just get a set schedule. It's a little difficult when you're relying on other people to make your schedule, right? And that's not a big deal, but really I just need a secretary to handle these little things for me. But for now, I need to come up with a system to keep these little things from piling up, that stop the obstacles from happening, to stop the burnout. Another thing is that I've always bitten off more than I can chew project-wise. For example, like, wow, I've just finished my first book. I already started working on my second book, at least the research part of it, looking at doing the podcast, looking at doing the courses. That's a shit ton of work. Not to mention my responsibilities at Leviathan for Hank. Like, we've been trying to do this nerve supplement and anti-fibrotic supplement, and we haven't talked to it in a month, mainly just because I'm not on top of the ball. Granted, Hank's in charge of product development too, but this is mostly on me not making sure that we're staying on top of it, because he runs a medical clinic. So it'd be unfair of me to expect him to pick up my slack all the time, right? So I just have a lot on my plate, is really what I'm saying. And if I'm going to succeed, I need to be able to take time to step back, focus on myself for a couple days, clear out the mental junk, and be sharp for you guys, because the sharper I am, the better my message gets out. The better my message is, the more potential money I can make and the more people I can help. So if I'm ignoring your messages, my clients, I apologize. It's not that I'm really ignoring them. I'm just saying them back for when I can give you guys undivided attention. Same for my consults. I probably have about 6 to 8 that I still need to do. Some of you guys have been waiting at least 6 weeks for it just because our schedules suck. Like, either I'm dropping the ball, or that the time zone differences just makes it difficult for me to work with. And that's on me fully, and I apologize for it. But anyway, the gist is that I still have a lot going on, but instead of just letting myself get burned out, I'm trying to take the steps to avoid burnout. And that might be another video. Briefly, I just want to talk about this too. Entrepreneur anxiety. And I'm just saying this as, like, you guys are changing my life, and I can't thank you enough for it. But even though I'm seeing the positive aspects of being on my own, there's no safety net. The only safe point I have is, like, going back to school to, like, get back to accreditations for software engineering. So regardless, I have that minor fear of failure that most people should have if they have, like, a healthy relationship with fear. And sometimes it's on the back of my mind, especially at the end of the month, where I'm like, okay, we have certain goals that we want to hit, and it's a hit or miss if we actually get them. Like, this month, it might actually be a bit of a miss from what I was projecting at the beginning of the month, which isn't that big of a deal. It was still higher than what Hank was expecting, say, with Leviathan. But still, it's like, damn, we were this close. What can I do better to get to that point? And part of the entrepreneurship anxiety is, like, I don't know what's going to happen in 5 years. At least when I had my full-time job and a relatively stable market, I knew I was going to be fine at pulling in X amount of money every month. Now, it is beholden on my connection with you guys. So that's why I'm so blatantly honest with you, because that's kind of my brand, right? Not that I'm being blatantly honest for monetary gain, but I think you guys deserve that. And since that's kind of become my brand, I need to kind of talk like this candidly to the camera. But yeah, I'm not overly concerned with the entrepreneurial failure. And I hate the word entrepreneur. It's just because it's, like, so tacky at this point, since everyone thinks they're an entrepreneur. But that healthy fear of failure is on the back of my mind. And last thing I want to talk about is the tipping point. And this will make a little more sense once I get really started, but one of my favorite authors is Malcolm Gladwell, and he spends a lot of time speaking about sociology, how trends start, what actually gives rich and famous people success over other people, which the first one is basically the small advantages that you have at the very beginning snowball out of control, and that's what leads to success. So like hockey players that are born near the cutoff line for a season, the older they are at the start of the season, they have a slightly bigger, stronger body than, say, the people born way past the cutoff line for the season. Therefore, they have the advantage of strength and size. And then that strength and size gives them more special treatment by their coaches, which then leads to more opportunities on the ice to become very good players. Meanwhile, the younger guys, and we're only saying like 10 months of a difference, have to work that much harder to make up for their lack of strength and size at 10, 11, 12 to be competing against these slightly older individuals. It's really fucking crazy. So, that's what I mean by like those little advantages snowball out of control. But that's not really the point of this talking point. The idea of the tipping point that I want to talk about is that the amount of work you do here and the amount of work you do here is the same, right? So if we're talking about weight loss, you're going to be losing 1 to 2 pounds every week. However, that success is cumulative, and the closer you get to your goal, the faster the results come in, especially with body fat. So for example, I was a chubby boy about 18 months ago. So I would consider myself borderline obese. I just carried my weight well because I had a sizable amount of muscle mass to begin with. So it didn't look as fat as I was. The difference between 25% and 20% body fat was negligible when it came to my appearance. But at the same time, the drop from 18% body fat to 13% body fat is a huge difference visually. So because each unit of work gets me much closer to my goal as we progress, since there's just less fat. And business success is kind of the same way. The work you do at the beginning, so every hour of work you do in the beginning kind of seems like it's going nowhere because you have such a small footprint. But every hour of work you do along with it makes every more hour of work that you put into it more valuable, because it gets you closer and closer to your goal. The amount of effort accumulates, and that's what really builds up the value in my experience. So what I'm saying is like, if you have a goal that seems kind of far off, don't give up. Understand that it's going to take accumulation of effort rather than the day by day. The day by day is not linear. It's exponential. So like month to month, you'll have exponential improvements. At least that's what you're going for. It really depends on what we're talking about. Business, much slower than weight loss, right? Unless you get lucky like I did. Anyway, if I'm going to do this motivational stuff, I probably need to get better at it, right? But I just thought I wanted to get some of this stuff out of my head so that way I can move on with my day. Okay. Let me know if you like this camera. Let me know if I should actually make a vlog channel or I should just shut the fuck up about this stuff. I'll be a little upset if you say that, though. Anyway, I promise to talk about penis enlargement stuff soon. All right? This is BD signing off.